Let go.
You're trying too hard to keep control.
Just relax and let go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let Go, the podcast.
You're trying too hard to keep control. Just relax and let go.
Today is 30th of June 2016. This is podcast number 1. On today's podcast, we have 3 beautiful guests. Mark Keogh, Ben Quinlan and Vincent Kavanagh. We'll be talking, amongst other things, music, politics, gardening and love.
You're trying too hard to keep control. Just relax and let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go.
You're very welcome to podcast number 1 of Let Go. My name is Nige O'Sullivan. Some of you may know me, more of you may not. You're going to get to know me, I hope, and enjoy the podcast. Today's show, although a mixed bag, has a general theme, as I hope all my shows in the future will be mixed bags with general themes. I've been involved in the anti-eviction task force for quite a while now. I was in fact the person who filmed the Corofin eviction amongst other 2 videos. A large amount of my life is taken up with helping and contributing towards that in the special way that I can. And this podcast has indeed grown from that and my own special capabilities, as Liam Mason would say. I hope that over time the format will become flowing but rigid, and also that contributions from listeners of possible guests, articles, sharing and education. It's all about just spreading the word, spreading the real word, the truth. It's all about the truth and love. As I was recently quoted as saying, the gun is the camera and the weapon is truth and love. So with that, you'll get to know me a little bit over time. And tonight we're having 3 sections of the show. First section, which we'll go into now, is a short interview with Mr. Mark Keogh. Mark, a good friend of mine. I would have met him originally outside Ennis Court or Limerick Court. They're interchangeable, really. But yeah, the people I know are wonderful people. They're beautiful, all of them. We all have love in our hearts. We're seeking the truth, and the truth is coming out. And it's been a slow process, but I feel it's very rapidly speeding up. I've often used the example of a bath, that when you have a full bath and you take the plug out, you don't really notice the water level going down that much. If you looked away for a while and then looked back, you might notice it had gone down. But only when it's really down towards the bottom you start realizing how fast the water is actually exiting the bath. And I firmly believe that at the moment in time that we are on this planet, that we are in that little vortex where the last little bit of water all starts being pulled together in this crazy circle into the next realm. My mysticism may alarm some people along the way, but I will interject my mysticism with whatever the opposite of mysticism is. Anyway, without further ado, I'd like to line up the first interview, after which we'll go into the musical segment and round off with good old Vince. So, from now, these are all pre-recorded. This show is not live on purpose. And Mark Keogh, you're waiting in the wings. Take it over, my lad. Well, this is Mark Keogh, and you're from Limerick. Is that right?
Yeah, certainly, yeah. I'm from Shannagolden in County Limerick.
Yeah, I have to always be careful with you Limerick people, because a lot of you Limerick people are claim to be from East Clare instead.
Well, would you believe I'm actually from Shannon in South Clare, but that's not it.
There you are. I've still yet to meet someone from Limerick who is actually from Limerick. But that's a different point. Welcome to the show, Mark. It's great to have you on episode 1.
Thank you very much, and the best of luck with you, and I hope that everything goes well and swimmingly over the next 250 shows that you have planned.
Well, I hope maybe it might even be more, but we may have gone international by then, please God. But anyway, the reason I have you on today, specifically on podcast 1 of Let Go, is to talk about your recent run in the elections.
Okay.
And I just wanted you to kind of, it's my firm belief that the entire game is rigged against the smaller parties, and more especially the independents. And I'd just like to hear how you got into it, what you believe, and why you did it, and how it affected you, etc.
Absolutely. Well, Ned, it's like this. At the end of the day, the only reason that I got into it was because I was just totally sick of looking around and seeing what was going on in this country, what was happening in this country. It all began when I first started going on the water protests there when they started there 2 years ago. And they were kid-friendly at the time, plenty of banter, loads of family atmosphere. And then over the course of the following few months, then you could see the anger starting to rise in people. The main reason why I got into what I have gotten into was I believe that the only way to fight this system is from the inside out. You can stand there waving your placards and raising your voices all day long, but it just falls on deaf ears. They just do not listen at the end of the day.
Absolutely, but so you decided to try and do exactly that, try and get it to the inside. So you went into the process of trying to run for election.
I went into the process of actually running for the election. I firmly believed that I did not have a hope in hell of getting in. Many people said to me, "Oh, you should have ran for the counties first," but it just worked out that at the time we went for the nationals. And the way I look at it is, even though I may have only got a few hundred first preference votes, which were very small in comparison to the big knobs in the game, what really did happen though is that my face was on a sheet in front of 65,000 people. So the next time that it comes around, we call it free advertising even. We could even go as far as putting it like that. The next time it comes around, people will possibly remember that I was once there before.
Indeed. So from hearing, that sounds like you will run again in future, will you?
We'll be looking at the local elections definitely for the council. That was the plan from the very, very start, and that's what we will be concentrating on now.
So it didn't dishearten you totally, the experience of the general election?
Oh, not at all. If anything, it kind of raised my hopes. It was nice to be in the situation where there was another 8 people that considered themselves to be above everybody else, and there was the likes of myself then just around biting at their ankles, you know. It could have got to a position where one of them needed the 250 votes that I got, and then I would have been even happier because I would have actually have been responsible for taking their votes from them and them not getting into their position, if you get my drift.
I understand. Yeah, and like, but on the kind of basic brass tacks of things, how much did this cost you?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Well, you're a very
Um,
lucky man to have managed to have done that. Did you have posters or any
I,
handouts or anything?
I didn't have anything to begin with to get anything. My posters and my literature were the posters were non-existent, and any literature that I had putting around people's doors, I designed and printed off myself. So if anything, we would be looking at about maybe €50 in ink.
Yeah.
That would have been about it.
And
Um,
could you give me a rough estimate of like who are the TDs in your constituency that actually won in inverted commas?
Yeah, we have a yeah, they won. Yeah, there's Niall Collins of Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
He came through on the first count. He actually told me before the elections that I was guaranteed his vote and that he was going to look after me.
Oh, great! Yes.
He had 12,500 votes. He had 3,000 over his quota, of which I received 9 transfers.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had Patrick O'Donovan of Fine Gael. He was a member on the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
He got through with, I think it was 9,400. And then we had a local councillor here, Tom Neville. He's the son of Dan Neville, who was a sitting Fine Gael TD, but he retired this year. And his son took up the reins, and he got the Fine Gael, the second seat for Fine Gael.
So it's a three-seater and filled by one Fianna Fáil, 2 Fine Gael.
Yep, absolutely.
So 3 of the same.
3 of the same.
Yeah, and basically they would have all had mega budgets.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think that the least amount of money that was spent on a campaign was €36,000.
That's the least amount. Yeah.
The
Plus,
least amount.
not only that, but not only the money, they had the people behind them. They had
absolutely.
teams of people working for them.
Teams, and they also had every GAA club in the country running behind them, and it was just phenomenal. Like,
yeah, and this people is the reason why politics doesn't work, because it is not fair. It is not a level playing field. The rules are made up by the people already in power. They are not going to change those rules to allow people that are not in power into power. They're going to keep those rules so that they keep themselves in power, their family members in powers, and their cronies in power. Would you agree or disagree with what I just said?
I totally agree with you. Representative democracy does not work in this country at all.
Absolutely. I mean, we're currently so-called having a government of, 24% of people voted for them?
Yes,
Yeah.
24%, and not only that. Then there were also failed TDs this time around that lost their positions that are now representing us in the Shannon because they were politically appointed.
And I think, was it not the Fine Gael on their previous run that were heavily pushing for the abolition of the Shannon?
Yes, they were. Yeah,
Indeed, it's if it wasn't so serious, it would be laughable, wouldn't it?
It didn't serve a purpose at the time.
Yeah, because it
Until
was
they
full
were
of Fianna Fáilers, and now it's full of
Because-
Fine Gaelers, and now it does fill a purpose. But
It's just gotten to a stage now where the two cheeks of the one arse. Is that the?
yeah, well, if it wasn't an expression beforehand, it is now.
It's done.
But yeah, you're totally correct. I mean, I think many of the listeners are aware that the game that's been played for over 50 years inside in that cesspit of a Doyle has been one party in power for this time, the other one will pretend to be opposition but actually singing off the exact same hymn sheet, then we'll swap power and we'll reverse roles, basically doing the same thing, keeping all the people like you out.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, and it also trickles down to local government as well, where here in Limerick we had a Fine Gael Fianna Fáil pact, and what happened is that they actually ended up having the majority between the two parties, and that just totally alienated anybody else, any of the independent councillors, from any of the votes. And there's things just being rammed through every day of the week now.
Absolutely.
There's no way of stopping it.
Indeed, at recent meetings that I would have attended up and down the country where TDs have been invited to speak, tumbleweed and silence, the occasional rhetoric from one or two pretending to have any idea about what's going on, or even any belief that they could do anything about it. But it has to be those one or two that do turn up to events like this need to be commended. But at the same time, they must realise that the game they're playing is never, ever, ever going to allow the common man win.
No way. For the very fact that at the end of the day they're only pawns for their whip system. Once there's a whip system in place in any party, forget about it. The TDs have to do what they're told, and the parties are having to do what they're told by the non-elected representatives outside of the parties.
Absolutely, yes. And it's the permanent government, which I think, for me, it was a wonderful spell of time, that 2 months earlier on in the year when we had no government, because the absolute wreck and ruin and lawlessness on the streets that occurred didn't occur, and life just went on normally. In fact, probably quite a little bit slightly better whilst we were governmentless. And if they actually do anything, how come everything went normally for 2 months?
Yeah, I was actually very proud to be a part of that lawlessness. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, and it'd be lovely to see you go back to that. To be honest,
Yeah, but the thing that struck me at the time was hearing quite often various, for want of a better word, people who were asleep, speaking up and saying, "What do we need a government for? Everything's going fine. What do they actually do?" And I think that the fact that a lot of new people started asking questions like that, why are they there? What do they do? And then when they made up this ridiculous government that so-called is in play now, a minority backed up by the other half of the same fucking party, but and nobody in the country, I think I could safely say that, apart from staunch Fine Gaelas, nobody in the country wanted or voted for what we actually have.
No, not at all.
And this is democracy, people.
I mean, in all fairness, as staunch Fine Gaeler is not going to allow a Fianna Fáiler get into a position and vice versa. It's just they've even turned their backs on their own followers. But
I firmly believe that this is kind of controlled opposition at play, that Micheál and Endov are both actually probably bosom buddies and believe the exact same things.
Yeah, it appears so, doesn't it? But at the same time, then the likes of Micheál are sitting in the background and they're just waiting for their opportunity, where the Enda Kenny would fall out of favour and Micheál Martin can actually come in then and he can play his cards.
Absolutely. A lot of people would firmly believe that is actually what's going on at the moment. They're slowly building up the numbers that they had in the past with the hope of jumping in. How can anything be done with a minority government in the first place? Because you're a lame duck, basically. You need an entire other party to vote with you, another large party, in this case Fianna Fáil. So basically, let's call this a spade and say we have a Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael coalition at the moment.
Yeah, Yes, but if they do that, then are they going to turn around and they're going to be losing votes for themselves, and people may look elsewhere?
You've nailed it, Mark. That's exactly
no
why they
reason.
haven't done that. Yes.
They're afraid of actually pushing away the support that they have at the moment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
Now,
it's just gotten to a stage now, Nidge, where look, I don't trust any one of them as far as they can throw them. They can come to my door and they can talk to my face and they can promise me this, that, and the other. And it's happened to us here in Shanagolden, where I'm living. Like a TD stood up in front of 500 people, and he promised that he was going to do this, that, and the other. And it works out that he's in it up to his own armpits anyway. Like, you know.
Yeah.
We've seen it inside in Limerick Court. We've had Niall Collins and Willie O'D chastising the legal system, and isn't it an awful pity about what's going on like that inside in the courts and the poor families losing their homes. Willie O'D has 40 houses.
Yeah.
And it was the Willie O'D and Niall Collins' party that kick-started all of this in the first place by shoveling money out the doors to people. Giving them 110% mortgages based on working 3 months in a multinational company, for instance, Dell in Limerick, that they knew was going to pull out of the country anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just ridiculous. Like they're just taking people for idiots, and the people need to start thinking for themselves.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it
Get
better.
behind parties that are going to actually. Like what we're doing now, I know you're not political. In the direct democracy Ireland, we have no whip, and it's all about the people, like, and it's the people's decisions. Whoever is there is only there as an official, not a representative.
Absolutely, yeah. This whip system, I mean, why would anyone with more than one brain cell join a party with a whip? You know, because that means immediately you're subserving any belief you have to someone else.
Yeah, you're actually losing your own voice.
Absolutely.
You're there and you're claiming to be standing up for the people, but you can't even stand up for yourself.
Very well put, Mark. That's exactly it. Yeah, that you can't stand up for other people when you can't even stand up for yourself.
Like there's many a time there now I've been at meetings with lads from the DDI, and there's been ructions inside in the room, but there has been no falling out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, obviously we're all individuals. No two people are the same. This is what makes the human race such a beautiful species. That we are all creative individuals, and trying to corral everyone. You know, it's like the school system, the programming of the TV. Everyone needs to be put in a box by them and standardized, homogenized, and think the same, do the same, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, go on your 2-week holiday, then die. You know, and this is not life. This is not what the human race is about. This is not why we were put on this planet.
Well, as far as they're concerned, and as in the government, everybody in this country is just a PPS number, and you're either a commodity or you're a burden.
Absolutely.
And as Brian said to me below in Corofin, he said, Mark, and it's his words that I'll remember, is Mark, they go for the low hanging fruit first.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he was just, that's something that's ingrained in my brain now. Yeah. I'll remember that statement now for the rest of my days, like. And because it's the truest statement that I've heard in many a year.
Indeed. And you, I, and probably most of the listeners listening to this are that very low-hanging fruit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, well, I'll be honest with you, there are many people that are low-hanging fruit that are rotten to the core as well, you know.
Well, there's good and bad everywhere, of course, but...
There is.
We will get this in more deeply in future podcasts and what have you, but the fact, like, drawing back to that two-month period when there was no government, and the fact that the whips and all the rest of it all being told to be like robots and act And the fact is that they're all there for show. They're all there to give the impression that us low-hanging fruit have some say in the matter, when in fact they have no say. It's upstairs from them again.
Yeah, and it's we all know where it's coming from.
Exactly. I mean, the whole Irish water debacle. I mean, lying blatantly to us yet again, looking for votes, telling us, I'm going to single out Fianna Fáil here because I think they need to be singled out here. Lying blatantly on looking for votes about abolishing. That word is abolish, not suspend, not put to the side, not keep putting in meters. None of that was said. It was, we abolish Irish water. That was the Fianna Fáil. That was the reason, I'm convinced, that was the reason Fianna Fáil got as many seats as they did. They would have only gotten probably half, possibly even less than half of what they had got if they had not run so massively with the abolition of Irish water. And of course, as soon as they get into power, because they are in power, they're not an opposition party, they are in power along with Fine Gael, but then again they have no power because, again, as I say, that's upstairs, but that we will come back to that in a further podcast. But we know that Irish Water was sold to a private company in 2008. They have no say. They have no power. They have nothing they can do about Irish water because it belongs to someone else. It doesn't belong to the people. It doesn't belong to the government. It doesn't belong to the state. It was sold in 2008 to a private corporation. And this is why they cannot abolish it. Just like I can't go into Tesco and say, close down this shop. I have no say in it. They are literally like a lone person like me walking into Tesco and saying, shut down this shop. That's the amount of power they have. And this is why they keep bullshitting us with this crap. And it's about time. You more and more of us need to spread this out. First of all, that the politicians consistently lie. They'll even admit that they lie. What was it Michael Noonan said before the previous election? Well, of course we lie. Or was it one of them Labour muppets? But anyway, they're all the bloody same anyway.
It's true. It's but as you were saying there about everybody needs, look, everyone. It's like something that you see on Crime Line now at the moment. Anybody with any information, no matter how slight whatsoever, they need to get it out there. For the simple reason that, like, it's everybody knows something that will link up with something that somebody else knows.
Exactly. The collaboration of minds and thought, of education through this movement or feeling that we all are on, that it's just one by one, slowly but surely we'll get the message out there. People will begin to start questioning for themselves, and the answers are there.
Absolutely. I don't know if you've read it, but I tried my hand at writing a blog last week.
I wasn't aware of that, actually. I must check that out, because I do know you write very well.
Well, I wrote this blog anyway, and it's on WordPress. I had it on my Facebook page.
Would you give the listeners there the full name of that blog, please, so they can check it out for themselves?
I shall. It was called the Binmen, the Yanks, the Dump, and... Sorry, I've actually forgotten the name of it.
But what is your actual WordPress user or account number or name or whatever? So
it's Mark.kyo. It was called the Binmen, the Yanks, the Dump, and the Circus. That's what it's called.
Good name. I do know that you've been very hardworking on the disgusting plant that they were proposing to put very near you up there in beautiful Limerick, destroying the environment and destroying the health of the people around it. How is that going at the moment?
It's going very well. The company involved haven't lodged their application for planning yet, and they are now 6 weeks overdue. So hopefully we've fought it off.
Right, but keep the pressure on, because this is vitally important that place does not get here.
big time. But then again, it's swung on to CRH now, the Irish Cement
Yes.
in Limerick, and also in County Meath, where they're actually expanding so that they want to do much the same stuff, but in a cement factory instead. That would be the one of the number of problems. Everything is just like there's a problem in this country with waste. There's a problem in this country with the network of roads that they're trying to build at the moment. They need concrete, they need cement, and they're looking at doing 2 or 3 different things of getting rid of it. But their health is not on the agenda.
Yeah.
It's all about profit. It's all about corporations.
Absolutely.
But the blog that I wrote now, I'll send you a link to it, and maybe
Please
you can
do,
share
and
it
we'll
around.
share that on the Let Go page on Facebook as well for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's in 3 days it got 395 shares on Facebook and 1,000 hits on WordPress.
Oh, well done. Excellent stuff. So a lot of people have already seen it. Please God, after hearing this, a few more will.
And there'll be more to follow as well because I have plenty on them.
Excellent stuff, excellent stuff. Mark, we're running out of time for now. It was just a brief introduction. I'll definitely have
Yeah,
you
no
back
problem.
on again. We'll talk more in depth about the work you're actually doing on the ground there up in Limerick and beyond. And I really want to actually get more in depth with you on another occasion about that plant and plants proposed up and down this beautiful
Absolutely,
country of
Rich.
ours.
Not a problem.
Raping and destroying our country. But anyway, for now, Mark, I wanted to give you a very, very special thank you for being guest number 1 on podcast number 1.
Hey, thank you very much. And not only that, I want to thank you for actually having a media outlet such as this, being a part of it, for the simple reason that you know yourself with social media. There was a post about the upcoming court dates in Limerick on Friday.
Yep.
And it was put up by, if I may mention her name, Sheila.
Yeah.
17 hours ago, and I only received it to my timeline about a half an hour ago, would you believe?
Yes. Yeah, there is an awful lot of shenanigans going on with Facebook at the moment as well.
Plenty, yeah.
Yeah, there's shenanigans everywhere. But anyway, for now, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. And people keep a lookout for Mark's WordPress account, mark.keo on WordPress. He writes brilliantly. I've had the pleasure of reading some of his stuff before. I haven't actually seen the piece, but I'm going to search it out now, and as soon as I do, I will share the link on the Let Go page on Facebook also. So, Mark, for now, thank you so much.
Good man, Lidge, and thank you very much. And I will speak to you again, no doubt.
Very soon. Thank you, and goodbye.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Only when it's dark and I'm all alone, I can hear your voice as the candle burns. But I can love you more than I can give. I'll take away your pain so you can love again, my love. Poems that you wrote, letters that you sent, photographs of us, kisses, perfume, presents. But I can love you more than I can give. I'll take away your pain so you can love again, my love. But I will wait life. Yes, I will wait for you all my life. Though the seasons change, our love remains the same. Never questioned why. Our love never died. But I can love you more than I can give. I'll take away your pain so you can love again, my love. But I will wait for you all my life. Yes, I will wait for you all my life, all my life.
Well, I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful piece of music, and that's just a demo from a good friend of mine called Ben Quinlan. And guess what? We have Ben Quinlan on the line. Ben, are you there?
Hello, Nigel.
It's wonderful to hear from you, Ben. That song was called
Likewise.
Noche, is that correct? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, Noche is the song, the name of the song, that's right.
I wonder, would you just tell us a little bit about that, and then we can talk about a bit more about you?
Sure, no worries. Noche, the song means night. It's just very descriptive about I suppose someone that you love very deeply that's touched your heart. That's what the song is about for me when I co-wrote it with a friend. And Noche is about that I can't love you more than I can give. I'll take away your pain so you can love again, my love. It's just very deep, I suppose, very, very deep love, between someone else that you feel that way about.
And I suppose that could also be applied to just deep love in general, I guess, because that's what I personally took from that song, that just the love that we have inside us that can easily be projected out. And now, so Ben, who are you? Tell me a little bit about you. What do you do, and who are you?
Okay, well, I'm originally from Killarney, and I was practically born there.
You were practically born there. I don't know how you either were or you weren't.
I've been songwriting for many years now. I started. I've been into music for a long time. I suppose since the age of 3, I've been doing some dancing and singing. I was in stage schools from a very young age of 5 years of age, and then I was in. I went up to RT when I was younger and got a bit of airplay, and just always into the music, you know.
And I would imagine that you're probably creative in other passions as well as just music.
Well, I mean, I play the piano. I sing classical pop. But I feel the own music that I write and I arrange and I compose. I feel the music more because it's my own. But I love all types of music, and it's like an experience. Music is an experience for me. It's a part of me. So yeah, it's all good.
Well, I guess the one thing I would say about the pieces I've been privileged to hear of yours so far is the lyrics. The lyrics really are powerful to me.
Right,
You're a true poet, whatever about anything else.
All right, thank you very much.
No, I mean that, and I really do connect very well with meaningful lyrics, regardless of the music. And you're actually teaming it up with beautiful music as well.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to get the music in the studio eventually.
Yeah,
and we just need to make a right few arrangements again. But we're definitely getting it into the studio in the next few weeks, and we're gonna get it out into all the radios in Ireland eventually. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent, and I hope any little bit of help.
Great honour being on the show, by the way.
Thank you. It's a wonderful honour for you to have you on show number 1. I couldn't think of anyone else better to fill the musical section than you on podcast 1 of Let Go.
Wow, thanks so much. Wow.
So I met you first in Valencia, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Well, I'll never forget that night.
Nor will I.
It was just an amazing... The Darkness were there.
That's right, yes.
The Darkness that night, and they were playing there. And it was so ridiculous. I was so late. I arrived with friends, and we were so late we didn't even see the band. And I didn't even know there's no way I didn't even know the Darkness were there. And then I met you after, and I just bumped into the Darkness. I was like, what kind of band are you, lads? And then so they started recording me and filming me with the interview with Darkness. And then I met you. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious, actually. It was a great night, and I myself got some great pictures of the band as well. But I think that your pure innocence of not knowing who these people were actually worked in your favour that night. That there was no airs and graces or bullshit about you. You were just talking to them as human beings, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see the point in that. I'm a freelancer in the sense I just be the way I am, and I learn from other people, you know, from mistakes or from goodness or, you know, all different types of things. So it was an interesting night when I met you that night, you know, because I was having a very spiritual experience in my, I suppose, life, and I was just very honoured to meet you at the time. It just felt very right and connected with the universe, and to meet. You know, it was interesting, the whole experience.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads on wonderfully to where I wanted to go with you next. But I just wanted to let the listeners know that actually, when Ben and I met for the first time, I was with 2 other friends. One of them is also on the interviewed earlier on in the show. But I'd have to say this, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Ben, but...
No problem at all.
You left an absolutely catastrophically bad first impression with us. But yet, having said that, we were in a very spiritual place, being on Valencia in Cool Cottage, Brendan's old cottage, and I think the 3 of us who had met you had gotten to the point in our lives where we were forgiving enough to be patient with you, and I am very grateful to myself that I was, because I think a wonderful friendship has blossomed since.
Absolutely, yeah. 100%.
So speaking of that and understanding maybe how we react and act amongst others, the spiritual journey. You spoke that possibly that night on Valencia was early doors for you in regards to that. Would you like to speak more about how that's been going for you since?
Yeah, you know, it's been definitely going for me since the whole spiritual experience. I was, I mean, by having this was just having a very, very profound spiritual experience, especially since the night I seen you. And I suppose what it done for me really is open my eyes to the madness that we can live in the world, that we can live in so much peace if we realize that we're not disconnected from nature, but we've just disconnected ourselves from nature.
Exactly.
I think that's the problem in the human society that we live in. And I suppose really the spiritual experience I'm talking about when I met you is about everything was coming to me in visions, and I was getting enlightened by realizing that, you know, there's the stuff that's wrong in society that needs to be, there needs to be something done about it. And I was just so grateful that I met you at the time, because you're definitely a guy I know. At the time I didn't know who you are, but from getting to know you, you seem to have a very strong view and knowledge of knowing that there is a lot of wrongdoings in society, and I suppose finding that the very deep spirit, I got a very deep spiritual self, and realized that I had a very spiritual deep self. The more I talked to you, and the more I just was in this spiritual experience.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how you said that when you met me, you didn't know me.
Yeah.
I would safely say to you that when you met me, I didn't know me either.
Yeah.
I have since learned a little bit more about myself, and I possibly am beginning to not only know myself, but actually like myself. So I think this is a journey that many of us need to take part in.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, anyway, I think for now we'll start. We're going to play out with another one of your wonderful tracks. I just wanted to reiterate with the listeners again that these are demo tracks that Ben himself have put together. The wonderful talent that he has is also on the technical side of things, because it's not easy to put these things together in such a professional manner. He has done these in his own home studio, and is looking to fully produce these numbers and various other numbers along the way, and hopefully, please God, let's see an album out by you soon.
Yeah, it would be great.
Well, the song we're going to play out with. Did you want to talk about a little bit about that before we spin the turntable, as they say?
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Mystic Maiden in the Moonlight.
Yeah, Mystic. I called it originally Mystic Maiden in the Moonlight, but then it's now called Mystic Lover in the Moonlight. I suppose it has.
Oh, okay.
But it describes. It's about this flash of light that you can experience in your life, and finding that within yourself. And at the time, I thought it was about, you know, meeting this mystic lover in the moonlight out in the lake when it's the moonlight, you know, and it's all lit. But I think it's more about that there's a love inside ourselves in the song. And it goes on about that life can be so lonely, waiting for the turn of the tide. But now I've met this precious pearl which you hear by my side. So if you accept that love into yourself, you can have it. And I suppose in a way, yeah, it's definitely about a girl as well, I've met. So
okay, and just before we play that track, would you like to partake in some selfish self-promotion there? Have you any websites, web pages, or anything you would like to promote?
Yeah, no worries. I'm in a concert in the Mangerton Suite this Friday.
The Mangerton Suite, where is that?
In the Gleneagle Hotel
in Killarney, County Kerry. Yeah. Let's hope that this podcast has an international audience. So
it will. Yeah.
So that. Sorry, what day was that? Friday, is it?
Friday, yeah.
At what time?
It's at half. I'll be on at 9:00, but it'll be start at 7:30.
Okay. And do you have a website, Facebook page, or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have the website set up in the next few weeks. It's benquinlan.com, but I'm already on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
So if any of the listeners just search for Ben Quinlan on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, they will find you.
That's right, yeah, they'll find me straight away.
And the website, benquinlan.com, will be live soon.
Yeah, that's right.
And give us one last go. You're playing this Friday. Tell us one last time.
So yeah, I'm playing this Friday in the Mangerton Suite in the Killarney, in the INEC Killarney beside it, at 7:30.
Excellent stuff, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We're going to play out with Mystic Lover in the Moonlight, and we'll definitely have you back on again.
All right, great.
And we might talk about more than just you and music in the future.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks so much. And now we're going to play. You're welcome, Ben. Good night. And this is Mystic Lover in the Moonlight by Ben Quinlan.
Mystic lover in the moonlight, I fell in love with you at first sight. I was enchanted by your deep bright eyes and beguiled by your loving smile. No one has ever touched my heart like this, or filled my soul with so much bliss. All my longings now are laid to rest, for now my love seems so heavenly. Precious pearl with you here by my side. Love is truly such a special word for you and me. So let's not worry, so let this mystic loving light shine through you and me. Now you pierce me with your loving self. From now on I'll live for your unending help. When you fill me with your love to me, I give a kiss and sleep so peacefully. Through any dull days and cold nights, by meeting you, you fill me with so much delight. Now that I'm met by an angel that is you, you fill my whole life with a new story too.
Okay, everyone, that was Mystic Lady by Ben Quinlan, and now I'm joined on the phone, I think, by Vincent Kavanagh. Vincent, are you there?
Hello, Midge. How are you?
It's great to hear from you, Vincent. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I suppose we should tell the listeners, first of all, a little bit about yourself. You're involved with the Anti-Eviction Task Force, I understand.
That's correct, yeah. I come from Carlow Town, and I travel around different places to help out with the Anti-Eviction Force on different issues revolving around the expulsion of people from their homes. So,
and also, you have been on site at a couple of the attempted eviction sites, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. I've been down with the lads down in Corfin, and we've been over to Tralee and down as far as Killarney. And a few other sites going on around the country as well. As you know, it's a lot of trouble at the moment with the evictions.
Yeah, and could you describe maybe possibly, because I think there's a lot of people out there that possibly do understand from the videos of Corfin and subsequent news items on the Anti-Eviction Task Force page, that of what they are involved in the front line, but I don't think many people actually quite understand what goes on afterwards. It is to my understanding that it's not a case of just showing up to get rid of the sheriff. There's an awful lot of things going on in the background. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, maybe?
Well, it's certainly it's a lot more to do with the person in the home. It's to do with lifting people out of absolute, the complete and utter nightmare that they're living in at the moment. And you have a lot of really good people that come together and put their resources into, their energy resources into lifting these people back up. We do little bits of painting, decorating, whatever we can do. We can build fences and, basically mucking out stables, helping whatever it takes to get the house back into some sort of condition where people feel happy. Because generally with situations like this, everything has actually hit rock bottom and people have nearly given up on the very thing that their, life in itself nearly. So what we want to do is go in and help them bring them back and give them some hope. So that's really what the lads do. We do painting, decorating, anything we can do to help to bring them back up,
Now, I think this sounds wonderful, but I'd like to. You were saying about like bringing the person up as well. I think this is vitally important. Obviously, tidying up their houses and making their surroundings more attractive is part of that. But there's more, isn't there?
Well, we cook and we do lots of other things. It's all about community and bringing community back into their homes. Friends and sitting down having conversations with the people and making them feel like that they're not alone. They're not totally there with banks coming down on top of them trying to kill them. Basically, we had one poor individual there, Tommy, in his home upstairs, scared out of his life with guys with balaclavas on trying to get into his home. I mean, what does that do to people?
Absolutely, and as we all know, it's totally illegal what they're doing. But
it's a horror,
I think a lot of us may be in similar situations, or please God, they're not. But it sometimes is hard to understand the actual mental devastation that this can bring. That it can. I mean, we hear about the suicides. I mean, that's the ultimate mental devastation, of course. But
yeah, it's dreadful. Like there's an awful lot of suicides in this country. People aren't seeing the true facts, because suicide is some types of suicide are only reported, but the suicides where people are like people like Tommy, scared and in the homes alone, are probably they're put down as some other sort of incident that happens. But we all know that there's people there taking their lives, and it's because of the stress caused by banks, and it's absolute stress,
Absolutely.
So that's what we do. We try to bring a bit of humanity back to people again, and give them that kind of help. It doesn't take much to do that in our communities. We've got to, if everybody was aware of that fact, that just to go to these homes, seek out the people that are in trouble, and just bring a little bit of community back to people again.
Yeah,
that's the way I feel about it anyway.
Absolutely, I'd be fully agreeing with you, and to make the listeners aware that I am actually part of the Anti-Eviction Task Force myself. I too have been at sites. I, in fact, was the infamous Rainbow Magpie that taped the Corofin attempted eviction with the black and tans, as they were nicknamed by the good old Greg.
Absolutely.
I mean, like that obviously is that got the numbers and it got the attention of people right across the world. In fact,
that's right. It's a huge occasion in this country.
Yeah,
it's a turning point for people in this country. And you were at the forefront with the lads down in Corofin. Know that, and it was a wonderful thing to do. A community coming together to stop this type of thing, happening all the time.
Absolutely.
We really have to do it.
And it's wonderful, like that. I got to know you, in fact, through these fictions. In fact, really, we knew each other beforehand, but not very well. And now we do know each other quite well. And
even that alone has brought me together with other people. It's brought you together with other people. I mean, even like the ripples keep flowing out.
I'm making friends for life as we speak. I hope I am anyway, but I do believe I am making.
Well, if you play your cards right, you are.
But really, I mean, when you do go as part of the community and get involved in these things, I mean, we can go to any part of the country and call into someone's house and say hello, and it comes back to sharing and making people feel like, part of these things. You can come to my house and you know well that there's a bed there now for you anytime you want to.
And vice versa.
And that's what it is. You can travel around the country and meet people, and it's great. It's just a brilliant program, to be honest with you. I get great enjoyment out of it as well, even though we're doing other things on the side, So it's, that's the way it is with me.
Yes, I too. It's an unusual word to use, isn't it, in such dire circumstances, to actually enjoy what you're doing within this darkness. But isn't it wonderful to be shining so brightly from inside that the darkness doesn't really affect you anymore? Isn't it? I think that's the kind of thing we're trying to encourage and bring from within. I've noticed it with the homeowners on site of all three that are being dealt with in the Southwest, that they would have been very, very quiet, very internalized, very deep in thought and quite upset. And now all three of them are gregarious, outward, totally flipped. Would you agree?
Yes, completely empowered, and by the whole, family sort of feeling about it, where you're not alone anymore, and, you can go out there and start feeling like a person again, that somebody actually cares a little bit about you.
That's it. You're no longer a number, isn't it? That's it. You're a human, and you have as much.
This is what the banks intend to do, with people. They trudge them into the ground so hard that they feel there's no hope left whatsoever. And it's horrible.
Absolutely.
And I love taking people out of that situation and helping them.
Yeah, it is actually a very rewarding thing. It's like I think it's very important to realize that none of us, there's no money changing hands anywhere here. If it's actually costing you and the crew quite a lot of your own small income in order to do this, but we have no problem doing that. But we actually will jump and run to do these things with pleasure.
Yeah.
And
it is a great pleasure, sure.
Yeah, and
it's a small cost, it is difficult at times to keep the car moving, fuel wise and stuff like that. But it works out anyway. At the end of the day, we get there.
Yes.
And we pool our resources. Somebody has the petrol at the time to go to these things, and that's great,
Absolutely, yeah. And that's coming back to the whole community of, like, even within the actual anti-eviction task force itself, that we and all of us are out for each other, where, if someone's stuck, somehow we'll unstuck them, or whatever, with our very finite resources that we may be available, we'll always find a way.
Well, that's it. One thing I love about it is that there is no charge to homeowners at all, and it's the only thing we really use is energy to help them get back up,
Yeah.
And it's our own personal energy we're using to to do their homes up and help them a little bit. What is it to give?
Exactly.
At some stage in our lives, that we all got a little bit of energy off, if it's only our mothers to help us to raise us up and bring us up in the world. It's good to give a little bit of that back now and again.
Absolutely. It's all to do with balance, and every time you take, you must give, and vice versa. And it's just that cosmic balance, really, of you actually start enjoying life at whatever level you may be at.
Well, my personal belief is that the corporations in this world are draining the world completely of all the resources. They're just a complete and utter drain, and it's a greed. It's a corporate greed that's causing all the damage in the country. Not in this country, but all over Europe,
Well, all over the
And,
world, I guess. I mean,
all over the world anyway, but like with issues like TTIP, we have the American corporations are coming down on Europe heavier than they ever did, So if they're allowed into this country with TTIP, we're going to be in serious trouble. And the banks are, to the forefront of all these things, So
yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot of listeners might know about TTIP, but for those of them that don't, briefly, could you outline what it actually is?
Well, it's a trade agreement between Europe and America. It's like there's the other trade agreement between Canada and Europe. And it basically allows corporations to work in each country. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to lower standards in Europe so that the American corporations can come in and work here, and vice versa. So it's changing the rules on our own rules on products, what we're buying, and they're allowing stuff like GMO crops and things like that to come into Europe where we normally wouldn't have allowed that to come into Europe before.
And is it not also true that it also would give the corporations the power to change laws of actual countries?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It gives them the power to sue, sovereign states if they don't, if the states like Ireland, if we, interrupted their profit making, they would have the right to sue us, and that can cost billions in the future,
So in other words,
really
it's another step to lack of freedom. It's
absolutely,
it's a massive step in the wrong direction. But what do you think?
Well, I feel that. A lot of people may be for it. You probably have farmers and and people in those communities think that it's a good thing, but ultimately, I think it's going to mean an awful lot of jobs for people. Privatization in our healthcare systems and all of that is going to come in rapidly, and we will eventually lose jobs because these private corporations, not there to benefit the wider community. They're just there to benefit themselves, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Absolutely, because I suppose, as we know, any time that a profit-making private corporation is in charge of anything, the only bottom line they operate is maximizing profit.
That's it.
And
you see it with water now. You've seen it with the water, don't you?
Absolutely.
And you're looking at it with the bin charges in Ireland, and we have private individuals now trying to buy up hospitals, and sooner or later, like the health service in Britain has been privatised as well, which was probably one of the best health services in the world.
Yeah.
That's all under attack at the moment. So, we've got to stand up, and I think like things like Corofin and these areas and the evictions, this is where we make the stand. And if the communities don't get behind us, we're in really big trouble,
And are the communities getting behind in these various places in general?
I'm amazed at the community in areas like Corofin and these places that they really are coming together. They're a little bit hesitant in the beginning because they didn't know what groups like the anti-eviction task force were about.
Yeah.
And now that they've found out, they're flocking in with different things into the houses, they're bringing in, you see the cakes and all the different groceries being brought in and stuff. So real community is coming back,
It's wonderful to see it actually happening, and just filtering out that message of love, I guess. It's just every one by one. It's just a case of growing slowly but surely until it just reaches exponential levels. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. That's where it's all heading anyway. We hope so.
Well, please God. And speaking of what we would do down at these places, like improving their gardens and everything, I couldn't help noticing during the weekend, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, I couldn't help noticing some of your wonderful gardening videos that you had posted on your Facebook page. I was fascinated by your use of rubbish, for want of a better word, to incorporate in a holistic gardening sense. I'd love to talk to you more about that. Maybe we could just skirt a little bit about that for now. I believe, like you brought up bin charges there earlier on. I firmly believe that no household should create any rubbish. And there's no need for bins, and therefore no need for bin companies. Because once you starve what these corporations need, the corporations go away. And I firmly am on that side of things, of thinking of alternatives or prior things we were doing long ago, that were taken away from us by said corporations. And that's why I was so fascinated to see you in the garden there over the weekend with your wonderful strawberries and various other things. And no chemicals of whatsoever being used here.
No.
And
Absolutely none. If I can avoid them, I don't use them ever,
Yeah. And
I don't have chemicals in the house even,
And I noticed then you posted your dinner later on. I think, roughly about 90% of it was free, was it?
In 90%, yeah. All homegrown,
Yeah, this is the way, people, because if we can learn how to, micromanage ourselves and our own little world that we live in, there is no need for most of these things that we think we need.
That's right, yeah. Well, there's an awful lot of really good programs, and different initiatives starting up now around people producing their own food anyway, And it doesn't matter if people believe that, I'm in an apartment block and I can't grow food. But like I was using the old coal sacks to use for strawberry bags, you can grow plenty of food on your balconies or on your window shelves, window sills and stuff like that in bags. You can grow your potatoes and become a little bit more self-sufficient. And I think it's just if it's only a few tomatoes in your house, it's a help,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you stop the waste. You stop going to a shop. You don't get a plastic bag. You don't have to, buy, as you said, buy into the consumerism and the corporations as well. So that's the way I feel about it anyway. But I like it's essential, I think, going forward that everybody uses up all the gardens and any areas that are free for growing food, because ultimately you never know when the economy is just going to go flat and then you're left there sitting with nothing to eat, and you have a big garden full of grass and you're not going to go out and sit down and eat your grass. You've got to get up and start growing something, even if it's only potatoes. It's something in the garden. You can trade it, use it, and bring it wherever you want to. Just plenty of people will trade with you, And that's what all these new initiatives are. And it's one of the reasons I'm growing food now at the moment. And that's really to trade with my friends, give them a bag of lettuce. I'll get a few carrots off them or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was privileged to eat a piece of your lettuce last week, actually, over at one of the eviction sites, and it was yummy, scrumptious, so fresh.
And eating more of them as well. So.
Yeah, I have a lot growing myself this year, and it's, as you say, just by taking one step, suddenly starts, affecting other steps, like you say. You don't have wastage because you pick as you need. You don't have plastic bags, so already your rubbish has massively decreased. Plus, you're having as fresh food as you possibly can, like less than an hour old till it's in your mouth. No chemicals involved. I mean, it's win-win on both sides, and we need to encourage this. We also need to learn it and teach it. And as you say, in a worst case scenario, we don't know what's happening in the world right now. There's an awful lot of weird stuff going on. And if it all did suddenly collapse, by God, at least you could still live.
Yeah, you have something there. Yeah, you're not left, completely naked, waiting for, the big bang, as they say. I mean, up to last week, people would never have managed, imagine that Brexit could happen. But there it is, it's right on your doorstep,
Absolutely. We'll probably be talking about Brexit more deeply next week. But for now, anyway, I think what the key issue I wanted to highlight with you today, Vince, was how there's a lot more to what these groups like the AET or any of the other groups like the Hub or the Land League or any of these other individuals around the country, that there's an awful lot more in the background going on, and this pure just self-education and passing it on, and just that spirit transfer of energies, you know, it's just spreading. It's become like a virus in a way, but a very good one. You know.
Yeah, very good one. Yeah.
It's tentacles are spreading.
You know, I suppose when you live in a home and a bank comes in and starts feeding on you, right, and what it does is try to destroy you, right, because the banks at the moment now want to take your property. It's a property grab all over Europe, right?
Yeah.
And they're really weakening people, but a lot of people cannot see the true potential of what they have anyway in front of them, you know. And in a lot of cases, when we go in as an anti-eviction task force, we're able to identify certain areas where people can build themselves back up and maybe get a small business operating in their homes, right? Even if it's down to things like Airbnb or renting a room, or, you know, just putting ideas to the people to help them, which is something that banks will not do. The banks don't want to hear anything other than the ching of the cash register, and it's money, 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 right? Whereas we want to put into ideas into your head that can get you up and running, get you into a small little business, do something like that if we can, you know, if it allows, and that's what I think it's about.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you.
You know,
yeah,
it's like our shops. If you go into our shopping fair, you know, our main streets in every town in Ireland, right, every shop is closed, you know, and yet our own government are telling us that things have picked up and everything is wonderful, right? But we walk along the streets every day of the week, we talk to the people on the street, and we see it's completely untrue. Shops are all closed down. We need people to go in and open up these shops, reinvigorate the whole of our society, and not allow people that hold on to property and not use it. We need to use the property. We need to use our minds to get these things back working. You know.
Absolutely. Alternatives.
Just the way,
you know,
alternative thinking, really. Yeah. You know.
Absolutely. Fully agree with you. Because if rather than I think a lot of people get bogged down in trying to fight the system and destroy the system, rather than actually focusing on their own lives, their own little systems, and making an alternative. And if enough people do that, all of a sudden the system is going to wake up one day and say, "Fuck it, nobody needs us anymore." You know?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and there's a lot of, you know, in most houses there's more than enough room to start a small little business or do something, even, and you know, you go out and train and do some sort of a job. You know, you can, you know, barter with your neighbours. It doesn't have to be money. You know.
Absolutely.
Say, you know?
And as I always say, if you're hungry, try eating what's inside your wallet.
Never worked. Definitely not organic anyway, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we're just running out of time there, Vince. I definitely have you back on again. We talk more in depth because there was other things I wanted to talk to you about which we haven't covered yet. But for show one, I just wanted to introduce you to the listeners. Vince is a top bloke. He's a very good friend of mine. And as I say, I didn't even know him a few months ago. And I can safely say he's a very good friend of mine. So this is the way life is going now. It's wonderful to have you on the show, Vince.
Best look to you anyway, Nigel, and fair play to you for doing all this hard work and helping people like you do. You know.
Well, look, we're all paddling the same boat, so the boat crossed the right. So that's Vince Kavanagh, everyone. And if you want to contact the show later or anything about that, all the details will be up at the end.
Well, guys, that's the show for today. Podcast 1 of Let Go. So I hope you enjoyed it. I do truly hope you'll tune in to episode 2 next Thursday. This will be a regular podcast going live every Thursday. So put a mark in your diary, put a mental note in your head that the Let Go podcast will be released on Thursdays, every Thursday, barring something else. But in all normality, it will be every Thursday from now on. Apologies if there was any sound quality issues, teething problems in podcast 1, equipment issues, etc. But please God, we'll iron through those over the course of time. I'd like to just thank my three wonderful guests again, Mark, Ben and Vince. And I already have a great show lined up for next week. You'll be really interested in the guests next week. Quite a diverse bunch and more original music from another wonderful musician and another Limerick man who's not from Limerick. And anyway, guys, I want to all thank you for listening, and please share. And now the serious bit. If any one of you has a problem with your mortgage, with the banks, if you know anyone that does, if you have family members, friends, someone down the street, anyone you know, it could be you, it could be someone else, anyone, there's a lot of people out there with mortgage distress right now. Please, please, please go online, contact Anti-Eviction Task Force through their Facebook page, email them, or the hub, also on the hub on the internet, on the Facebook page. So just go on to Facebook, search for either Anti-Eviction Task Force or the hub, and we will contact you, and very soon, and your life will change. Thank you so much again for listening. Good night, and we're going to play out with a nice track. It's 11:11. Well, just a little bit of it anyway, because I don't want to get into copyright issues with these wonderful artists. But just a few bars of 11:11 introduced to me by a very good friend. So for now, good night all, and I'll see you next week.
I guess there's been some things on my mind, so fuck President Barack Obama, fuck his office, fuck his Cheshire cat grin, fuck his promise, fuck all the politicians, fuck Congress, fuck every senator that ever turned his back on us, fuck Dianne Feinstein and fuck Max Baucus, fuck Harry Reid, the Senate leader's cockless, but I fucking loved when the stenographer started talking. I wish that bitch would run for office, for real. Fuck Jay-Z, fuck Yeezus. This arrogant motherfucker actually thinks that he's Jesus. Fuck Rockefeller, both the man and the label. Fuck the deal that they made to put some gold on their table. And fuck Rain Man, your inspiration is fake, so you nothing but the puppet for the devil to take, yo. And fuck Catholics, you gonna murder them, ho? Fuck your bad back, mass whack, Lucifer flow. And fuck the Luciferian imagery that you show. Fuck your money and the scars on your soul. Fuck Kesha, fuck Katy Perry, fuck the dark horse that she rode. I see the owl on your album cover, Drake, we know. Fuck Moloch, fuck Bohemian Grove, fuck your blood sacrifice rituals, fuck cults, fuck the Bushes and the Clintons, fuck Hillary most, fuck Don Rahm Emanuel and fuck George Soros, fuck GMOs, man, fuck Monsanto, fuck the chemtrails and the poisonous airflow, fuck eating food the transhumanists grow, and well, fuck you if you don't know, so fuck harping, fuck weather warfare, fuck a 5-vortex tornado that Joplin had there, fuck Sandy Hook, fuck the lies, fuck all the crisis actors acting at the Boston finish line, fuck martial law, fuck checkpoint shit, fuck illegal suspension of posse comitatus, I guess fuck everything that our founders taught us, fuck throwing guns in the garbage, fuck your roundups, fuck your amendments to the Second Amendment, fuck NDAA and your government prison, fuck the Federal Reserve and the money they printing, fuck the monetary slave system, check it, fuck the FBI, Federal Bureau of Lies, fuck the NSA and fuck their spies, fuck the Pentagon, fuck the CIA from behind, fuck everything that's ever been classified, yup, fuck the IRS, fuck Lois Lerner, fuck Holder and the guns he's running over the border, fuck drones, fuck torture, fuck waterboarding, fuck the American Homeland Security disorder, fuck FEMA camps and the FEMA region governors, fuck the guillotines they have in storage for us, fuck BP and their oil exploding, fuck 9/11 and the stories they told us, fuck Building 7 imploding, fuck the militarization of all our police forces, fuck warrantless door-to-door searches, fuck the system and fuck how they hurt us, it's like we talking but they never heard us, fuck the New World Order, fuck the petrodollar, fuck the UN, fuck NATO, fuck all of it, fuck the Trilateral Commission larcenists, fuck blaming Al-Qaeda when the West started them, fuck false flags, fuck all for Tonkin, what the fuck ever happened to talking, Fuck flossing, fuck the superiority complex that we lost in. Fuck Miley Cyrus, fuck abortion. Fuck Pfizer courts and fuck they closed doors. And fuck the justice system, fuck lawyers. Fuck Bank of America, fuck JP Morgan. Fuck Blackwater and they wannabe soldiers. Fuck Black Ops, DARPA and all of they programs. Fuck Dick Cheney and fuck Rumsfeld too, man. Fuck Chertoff, the TSA scanners and groping. Fuck the police, they growing here in the homeland. Fuck biochemical experimentation. In other words, fuck vaccination. Fuck color of law, fuck implied consent. Fuck wherever the Haitian earthquake money went. Fuck the EPA, fuck Fukushima. Maybe Edgar Casey was right, I guess we'll see, huh? Fuck John Corzine, fuck Wall Street. Fuck CNN, Fox, fuck MSNBC. I guess fuck Ambassador Stevens and fuck his embassy. And fuck the Muslim Brotherhood beheading all their enemies. Fuck the American regime change policy. Pardon me, I mean fuck our gift of democracy. Fuck order out of chaos. Fuck the Freemasonry. Fuck Skull and Bones. Fuck your secret society. Fuck 322 and your 33rd degree wizardry. Fuck you for destroying what my ancestors gave to me. Fuck a short beat. Keep listening. Fuck hormones in the beef, pork, and chicken. Fuck DNA manipulation. Fuck leaving trillions in debt to our children. Fuck putting fluoride in the water we drinking. Fuck the millions of homeless left freezing. Fuck any other option but to feed them. Fuck the VA hospital budget restrictions. Fuck homeowner association evictions. Fuck state and federal for-profit prisons. Fuck the Hollywood Bin Laden mission. Fuck Madoff and his fucking investments. Fuck fucking children off ads on the Craigslist. Fuck credit cards and fuck their interest. Fuck more challenge disease symptoms.